So using this idea of private and public keys still, digital signatures can be used to prove identity on the internet. So another thing I need to introduce is this idea of a hash algorithm. So the hash algorithm isn't massively important, but it's just from a speed point of view. So a hash algorithm is an algorithm that is universally known. So there's lots of different types of hash algorithm, but obviously, let's say email, there'll be a generic one that is used for doing email digital signatures. So a hash algorithm is basically where you can pass it a message. So let's say I'm going to send an email. I could pass that email through the hashing algorithm and it will return a unique value. Okay, so a unique value being let's say it's a long string of numbers or whatever. It's shorter than the email, but anyway, it generates this thing known as a hash value. So pass the email through the hash algorithm and it generates the hash value. So I want to basically send something to the recipient that proves I sent the email. So that what happens is I would then encrypt the hash value with my private key. So remember, the actual email, if you remember from the asymmetric encryption video, the actual email I've sent them, I've encrypted with their public key so they can decrypt it. Well, the signature of the email, I'm going to encrypt with my private key. So I'm not use one of their keys at all because it's not about them. This is about proving I am me. So I encrypt it with my private key and it basically ends up being this signed message, this digital signature. Then what happens is they'll get it at the other end. So they've already got the email, they've decrypted that and they can read it. They then also get the signature. So this signature's come from me. They can look up my public key and decrypt that signature and they will get this hash value. Now that on its own doesn't prove, because that hash value could be anything. That doesn't prove that's me, because it could be a different private key decrypted with my public key. It would probably generate some form of hash value anyway. But the way to prove that that's true is the hash value should match. So because it's a generically known hash algorithm, if the receiver then passes the email message back through the hash algorithm, ends up with a hash value. If the hash value matches the decrypted hash value, I've basically proved my identity. All right, now I appreciate that is quite a lot to take in a short video. So we'll go for it again. So the emails are sent using the receiver's public key. So the email message is encrypted using the receiver's public key. So when it gets to them, they can use their private key, decrypt it. That's fine. They will get the email. But what that doesn't prove, it doesn't prove, because I'm using their keys, it doesn't prove somebody's not pretending to be the sender. It doesn't prove the sender's identity. So to prove the sender's identity, we pass the email through a hash algorithm to generate a hash value. The hash algorithm is known by both parties. Okay, then that hash value is encrypted with the sender's private key and it forms a signature. Okay, it's not actually a signature, but we call it a signature, we call it a digital signature. So this digital signature is then passed to the receiver. The receiver will decrypt that digital signature with the sender's public key, okay, because those two things are mathematically related, and will generate a hash value. If they then pass the email, sorry, gone at the wrong time. If they pass the email through the same hash algorithm and end up with the same hash value as this decrypted one, then that proves that the email has come from the intended party. This is going on all along, all the time, by the way. When you receive emails, it just doesn't highlight anything if it's an issue, and if it feels like it's been forged, it'll probably just go straight to your junk. If it feels like it's come from somebody pretending to be somebody, or it's not matched or whatever, it probably just ends up in the junk. I don't quite know what happens with it, or it's deleted automatically, or I don't know. But this digital signatures can be upheld in a court of law. Okay, so they are legal signatures that prove identity, and that's digital signatures.